So welcome to KeyPay's basic webinar this morning. Today what we're going to do is cover 5 basic areas of your QuickBooks KeyPay account. So what we're going to do is we're going to firstly turn on the integration between QuickBooks and KeyPay. We're going to add in some business details. We'll add an employee. We'll process a pay run, and then we'll have a quick look at the employee self-service portal. So what you should see on your screen now is a QBO account that I've already set up. So the name of the account is 26 March 2018. So basically we just name the business after the actual date that we do the webinar today. So you should be able to see that up on your screen now. So to turn on the integration between QuickBooks and KeyPay, all we need to do is click on the Employees tab on the left-hand side there. We'll get this screen which says Sign Up for KeyPay. So once we click on this Sign Up for KeyPay, this is actually going to turn on the integration. So while that's just processing and that integration is going through, I'll just give you a quick rundown of the pricing of KeyPay. So as part of your QuickBooks subscription, you'll get your first 10 active employees per month for free, and that's on the standard KeyPay plan. So an active employee is basically an employee who is paid in that month. Once you go over your 10 included employees for the month, that's when you'll receive an invoice from KeyPay. For $4 per employee per month. We also have an advanced plan in KeyPay. So the advanced plan is just a straight up $6 per employee per month. That's on top of your QuickBooks subscription as well. So the advanced plan has things like time and attendance, awards, rostering, rule sets, things like that. If you wanted a little bit more detailed information on the differences between the standard and the advanced plan, you can just go to our website, which is keypay.com.au. Just click on the pricing tab and that'll give you a list there of all the differences between the two plans. Okay, so you should be able to see now we've got a screen up here that says add a new business. So basically that's turned on our integration. So we've gone from QuickBooks, we're now into KeyPay, and we're just going to add in some business details. So firstly, we're just going to pop in our ABN there, our 11-digit ABN. I'm just going to put in all ones. The number of employees, you've got a few different options there as to how many employees are in your business. So I'm just going to go with 1 to 10 today because we're just going to add in the 1 employee today. You can see the business name and the business legal name. They've already been automatically transposed from the QuickBooks account that I had set up. And then we'll just pop in an address there. So we're just going to go with 20 Smith Street in Woonona. And then next, after you've put that in. Now this is just your contact details. So contact name is Tanya, that's me. Contact email address, and then just pop a phone number there if you need. And then next, what's the Daisy? So now we're just going to pop in the actual payroll details. So that first one there is what are your standard hours, standard work hours. So the system has default that to 7.6 hours. You can change that if you like. You can change that just to suit your particular business requirements, but we'll leave that set at 7.6 hours today as the standard. That standard work hours, they're the hours that the system are going to use when it's calculating leave, like accruing leave and taking leave. Your work week, so this is when your work week will start and end. So our work week default is Monday to Sunday, so I'm just going to leave that there. But again, you can change that if you like. How often do you process pay runs? So this is your pay schedule. The system has only got 1 pay schedule set up at the moment, which is weekly. We do have 2 other pay schedules available, which are fortnightly and monthly. So we've got the 3 pay schedules available, and this lines up with the ATO tax tables that are available. So we don't have functionality for bi-monthly pay runs and things like that, just purely because there are no tax tables that match up with those pay schedules. What industry do you belong to? So I'm just going to select financial and insurance services for that today. Now this next option here, so if you're new to QuickBooks, you can obviously register for this for the particular webinar that we're doing now. So you can register for that right there. So you can just click on that and then you'll see a couple of different options there of the different webinars coming up that you can register for. Now, promo code, this is a code that QuickBooks would have given you if you are on a special promo price, so you can just pop that in there if they've given you one of those. Okay, so when you're happy with all those details, you can just click on the sign up option down the bottom there, and this is enabling your payroll. So basically this is taking you from your QuickBooks account, and this is going to take you now through to the payroll dashboard. So you can see there, head to the payroll dashboard to get going. So we're just going to click on go to dashboard, and this will show you up now the actual KeyPay dashboard. And there it is. You can see up the top here it's got the employees tab, which is what you've clicked on to come through to your payroll account, and you've got up the top there KeyPay. Okay, so we'll just go through a few things on this dashboard now. So you can see all these messages and notifications up the top here. So it's a very good practice to start to get into to make sure you check those messages and notifications each time you log into your payroll account, just so you can keep up to date with any updates that we've put up there, any messages we need to get out to the businesses. So things like superannuation deadlines, any ATO information like outages and things like that. If you've got awards, we put in messages up there when you need to update awards if there's been updates to them. So yeah, just good practice to get into, to have a quick look at those and see if you need to action any of those messages or notifications that are put up there. I'll just go through these few tabs across the payroll dashboard now as well. So we've got the employees tab. So this will basically start listing your employees once you start entering them into the system. Then you've got your pay runs tab. So that's the same thing. Once you start processing pay runs, they'll all start listing down there underneath that tab. Then you've got your approved leave tab. So in here is where you'll see any approved leave for all the employees in the business. And you've got your reports tab. Now this is a full suite of all the reports that are available in KeyPay. So you've got all your payroll reports down here. This report down the bottom here, the super payments report. So that is a report you can run if you are making super payments through ClickSuper, which is the clearinghouse that KeyPay is integrated with. You've got all your employee reports up here. You've got your time and attendance reports up here. Then you've got your ATO reporting, so your payment summaries here. That's where you would go to generate your payment summaries at the end of the financial year. So yeah, any reports that you're after in the payroll section, that's where you can find them there underneath that tab. Then the last tab here is the payroll settings. So basically your payroll settings, this is where you can configure all of your business requirements. So back at the start when we set up the work week and the standard hours per day, so you can change any of those things, which is up here under the details in your business settings. You've got pay categories and leave categories you can add. You can add users to the account as well through the payroll section, the payroll settings. So yeah, all of your business configuration settings are all underneath that payroll settings tab, so that's a very good one to know about. Okay, so that's the payroll dashboard. I'm just going to go back to the employees tab there. So the first two parts of the webinar are done. So we've turned on our integration and we've added in our business details. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in an employee so that we can process a pay run for that employee after. So from this payroll dashboard here, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the option to add employee. So if you just click on that there, what this is going to do is open up the employee wizard. So this is a 4-step wizard. You've got basic details, banking and super, employment details, and tax file declaration. So these are the 4 tabs that we're going to go through when we're setting up our employee. So all we do from here is we start entering in our employee's details. So my employee is Sally Watson, and we'll just give Sally a date of birth there. So Sally's 20 years old. We'll give Sally an address, which is 12 Smith Street. So she just lives down the road from where she works. And she's in Woonona. Okay, so the next option here is the postal address is the same. So you can obviously enter in a different postal address if the employer requires that. If not, you can just tick that option and it'll make it the same as the residential address. Now the email address. I've actually already set up an email address for Sally. I've done this so that at the end of the webinar I can show you the employee portal. So what I'll do is just copy that address, that email address, just bear with me. All right, so I'll just paste that email address in there. So that's the address I'm going to use when I log into the employee portal at the end of the webinar to show you that. And then you can just pop in a mobile phone number there for Sally as well. Now the employee notifications. So basically your employee notifications, this is how your employee will be notified when their payslip is available to be viewed or downloaded. You've got a few options in here. So you've got none and manual, which are basically the same thing. So that's basically saying that the employee is not going to get a notification. So if you print your payslips off for your employees, then you would select that so that you can just do that. Then there is the SMS option. Now with the SMS option, you just need to obviously make sure that you've got a mobile phone number in there so that the employee can receive that SMS option. And just note with the SMS options too, if you do select that one, there is an extra charge on that. So if you select to notify your employees that their payslip's available via SMS, you will have, you'll be charged 15 cents per SMS per employee. So just remember that. I've got a question come up there, but I'm just going to finish this setup and then I'll come back to that question. So the last option there is email. So email is the one that I'm going to select today. So email is free. And again, you just need to make sure that when you select email that the employee's actually got an email address in there that they can receive that notification to. And then the last option down the bottom there is to turn on the self-service. So this will basically give your employee access to the employee portal. So we're going to select yes for that so that, again, later on in the webinar, I can show you the self-service portal. So we'll hit next. Now this takes us to the banking and super section. So I might just pause there for a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to read out this question from Carol. So with notifications, I come up with, there was an issue delivering some of your emails. Please check the mail log for more details. When you click on the mail log to set a date range to well before starting on KeyPay today's message, there are no undelivered emails and are those to clear. Is there a way to clear it? All right, I'll just park that question for a second, Carol, and I'll come back to that one in a minute. All right, so we're up to the banking and super details for the employee. So up the top here, this first option, this is basically how you're going to get the wage to the employee. So you've got electronic payment, manual, cash or cheque, and BPay. So basically, cash or cheque is pretty much self-explanatory. Manual payment, so this one means that you would log into your business banking and manually transfer each of the employees' wages one by one from your business bank to their personal bank accounts. So remembering you have to do that for each employee one at a time. We've also now got a new feature in KeyPay, which is BPay. So this gives the employees the option to give you BPay account details and have their wage or their earnings paid straight into a BPay account. Then the last option up here is electronic payment. So that's the one that I'm going to select today. So basically what electronic payment means is this is going to allow this employee to be included in the ABA file. So your ABA file is a file that you can download from your pay run. It will have all the employees included in the file from that pay run, all the employees that have got electronic payment obviously selected on their bank details. And what you can do is download that ABA file from your pay run, upload it to your business banking, and then it will automatically disperse all of the earnings for all of those particular employees all in one go. So that's quite a handy little tool there. So once you've set up the electronic payment or whichever other payment, Sally's name's automatically in there, and then all you need to do is punch in the account details that she's given you. So I'm just going to pop in a BSB number there and a account number. And then the next section here is now the super fund. So all we need to do here is click on choose super fund, and then you can enter in the details that the employee has provided you with. If the employee hasn't given you a super fund, You can hit next and go to the next section. You don't have to put this in right now if you don't want to. It will let you go past it. But if they have given you one, we'll enter it in now. So once you click on that Choose a Super Fund, you've got two tabs. You've got a regulated tab and a self-managed tab. So I'm going to enter in a regulated super fund for Sally today, but I'll just give you a quick look at the self-managed super fund. Now, just remember the onus is actually on the employee to make sure that they provide you with the correct details of the super fund that they want to contribute to. So having said that, if they've selected a self-managed super fund, this is where you would enter in all the details that they've given you. So all of those fields are mandatory, apart from that last one, that external ID. Self-managed super funds require an ESA, which is an electronic service address. If the self-managed super fund doesn't have one, you can always just use the default ESA that ClickSuper uses, which is ClickSuper. And we've actually default populated that field for you there anyway, but you can override that if the self-managed super fund has a different ESA. So once you've done that, enter that in, you can just hit save down there. But today I'm just going to enter in a regulated super fund for Sally. So Sally has given me her super fund details are HESTA. So now when you're searching for a super fund under the regulated tab, you can search by the fund's name, the ABN or the USI if they've given you, the employer's given you that information. So the USI is your unique superannuation identifier. So Sally's just given me the name today. So I've popped in the name HESTA and then I'll just hit search. And then that should give me a list of all the available products that Sally can contribute to. So with this HESTA one, there's only one product there that's come up. So this number on the end here, this is the USI, that HST. This is the product, the Health Employees Superannuation Trust Australia, and obviously HESTA. So if that's the one that I want to contribute to, I can just click on the name, and then that populates these first two fields here. So the fund's name and the product code, or the USI. And then all you need to do is pop in Sally's member number that she's given you that she's registered with that particular super fund, and then just hit the next button. But what I'll just tell you one more thing about superannuation funds. With that HESTA one, there was only one product that actually came up when I entered in the details, but there are quite large superannuation companies, and sometimes they have quite a number of different products underneath one particular ABN or one particular USI. So again, the onus is on the employee to provide you with the correct information. So if they've given you an ABN number for their particular super fund, they also need to provide you with the USI for the product that they would like to contribute to. So if you punch in the ABN they've given you and a whole list of products come up under that one ABN, they need to have provided you with the correct USI that they need to contribute to. All right, so the banking and super is done. So we'll just hit next. I'll just pause for a second because we've got another question here. So can a business have two different pay schedules? Some employees paid weekly and others monthly. Yes, absolutely. So back on the payroll dashboard, remember I showed you the payroll settings tab. So under that payroll settings tab, you'll need to go to pay schedule. And once you click on that, you'll see an add option, and then you can add a different pay schedule. So the business is already set up with one pay schedule, which is weekly. So then you can go in through that payroll settings and pay schedules and add in another pay schedule and select monthly as your frequency for that particular pay schedule. Okay, so the next part of the employee wizard is the employment details. So we're going to enter in Sally's start date. Now, I'm going to enter in her start date as last Monday, which is the 19th. I'm going to do that just so that we can get when I run the pay run in the next step, I can get a full week's worth of earnings in there for Sally to show you how that works. So her start date's the 19th. Her employment type is full-time. So you can see you've got other options there to select. Her primary location, so we've only got one location set up at the moment, which is 26 March 2018, which is the business name. So I'm just going to select that. Locations in KeyPay are basically costing centres or departments, if you like. So you can set up different locations. They don't necessarily have to be physical locations. So you can have HR, marketing, sales, things like that. And then you can have physical locations, which are Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. So basically, once you set these locations up, any of the earnings that are under that particular location, they'll be attributed to that particular location. So you can have something set up like 26 March 2018 / Sydney, 26 March 2018 / Melbourne. Then you can split them down even further. So you can have 26 March 2018 / Sydney / marketing, 26 March 2018 / Sydney / sales. So the locations again can be set up under that payroll settings tab back on the payroll dashboard that I showed you before. So that's just a little quick thing about locations. Now your pay schedule. So again, we've only got the one pay schedule set up in the business at the moment, and Sally is going to be on the weekly pay schedule anyway, so we'll just select that. But once you, like that, the other viewer just asked about the different pay schedules. If you do have different pay schedules set up in your business, you have to make sure that you select the correct one when you're setting up the employee. Okay, and then we'll just enter in a pay rate for Sally. I'm going to give her $60,000 per annum, and we're going to base that on a 38-hour week. So your 38-hour week, 7.6 hours per day is what we'll base Sally's earnings on. Now her primary pay category, we're going to select permanent ordinary hours for Sally. So you'll see what's happened there. That's actually done an automatic calculation to give me the hourly rate for Sally, which is $30.36. Now with your pay category that you select for your employee, this is where the actual pay category is where the SGC, leave, your tax, so your PAYG, all of that sort of thing is configured within the actual pay category. So if you want your employee to accrue leave, that's where you would select that. If you want your employee's pay category to be PAYG exempt, that's where you'd put that. But most pay categories are default set. Well, sorry, the permanent ordinary hours pay category is default set to accrue leave, have PAYG withheld, and calculate super. You do have, though, another different pay categories. So, for instance, the casual ordinary hours pay category, that is default set to add a 25% rate loading. So, generally, casuals don't accrue annual and personal leave. So, you would, so the 25% rate loading is added to that to in lieu of not accruing leave. So, they're just things to remember that underneath that pay category, that's where those things are configured. Now you've got your leave allowance templates. So just briefly on leave allowance templates, because I'm not going to select one for Sally today, but basically leave allowance templates allow you to set up different accrual rates for different sets of employees. If you've got a large number of employees and you want to have one group accrue 4 weeks of leave per year and a different group accrue 6 weeks of leave per year, you can set up different leave allowance templates for those. So you'd set up your 2 templates, you would link each employee to the required template, and then if any updates need to be made to the accrual rates for those employees, all you would need to do is update your template rather than going into every single employee and making changes like that. And the last option down here is timesheets. So I'm not going to use timesheets for Sally today, but just I'll quickly mention that. So these are KeyPay timesheets that you can use in here. QuickBooks also has their own timesheets, which are called time activities. Now, we do integrate with time activities, the QuickBooks timesheet, so you can use those and import them into KeyPay, or you can use KeyPay timesheets, but you just can't use them both together. That's the only thing. So you can use one or the other, but not both together. Okay, so then we just hit next, because we've finished that third part of the wizard. And now the last part of the wizard for the employee setup is the tax file declaration. So basically in here, you're going to enter in all the information that the employee has provided you with in regards to their tax file declaration. So we're just going to enter in their tax file number. So I'm just going to put 9 ones in there for today's exercise. The option underneath this is I don't have a tax file number for this employee. So we've given you a few options here that you can tick. So if your employee hasn't given you a tax file number, you can tick one of these options here as to why they didn't give you the tax file number. You can pop in a previous surname there if required. And then the tax calculation options. So we've actually default set the two most popular options for the tax file declaration, which are Australian resident for tax purposes and claim the tax-free threshold. So they're the two most popular options that you would generally get. But if those options do not match what your employee needs to be paid, you can click on that, sorry, I'll just go back, click on that little pencil option there, and then all of these other options will appear. So you've got in here things like if your employee is a working holiday maker, if your employee's got a help debt. We've also got the Medicare levy exemption down here as well now. You can select none, half or full. So yeah, you can select any of the different options in there that you need to, and then all you need to do then is click on, enter the date that they've signed their tax file declaration. Now the last little bit down the bottom here is lodge with the ATO. So you can lodge this tax file declaration electronically with the ATO straight from the payroll account here. So in order to do that though, there's a section back in the business details, the ATO supplier settings. So you need to have that set up and you need to have your business enabled for electronic lodgement with the ATO. But once you've got those two things set up, all you need to do is enter in the employee's tax file declaration details. You can tick that option there to lodge. And then once you've done that, that will lodge the tax file declaration with the ATO electronically, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to take any further action. So I'm not going to actually lodge this today, so we don't want to upset the ATO with a fake tax file declaration. So then once that's finished, we just click on done, and that's completing the employee setup. And that's now taken us back through to the payroll dashboard. And if you come back down here to the employees tab, you'll see Sally right there. So she's our first employee that we've added. So she's the first one on the list. And there's just a few little details now across this payroll dashboard about Sally as well. So she's a full-time employee. She's on a weekly pay schedule. And this last section here, this is when she was last paid. So it's showing here that she has not been paid yet. So the next step now will be to create a pay run, process a pay run. Once we do that, and Sally's included in that pay run date is going to appear there to say that that's the last time that we've actually paid Sally. Now, just while I'm on that payroll dashboard there, I'm just going to go back to Carol. Okay, so Carol's question was about the mail log. So if you go to your payroll settings and down here on your mail log, there's going to be nothing in my business here because we haven't actually done anything. So Carol's question was, so sometimes email notifications get bounced or they're not delivered due to whatever reason. So there are no undelivered emails in your mail log that match the filter criteria and unable to clear this action message. All right, so I probably can't comment on that, Carol, without actually seeing your payroll dashboard. So what I'll do is I'll get you to pop that in an email to our support and they can actually log into your account and have a look at your actual payroll dashboard and see if they can find out why that notification's showing up about your mail log. So our support email is support@yourpayroll.com.au. So just pop in your business details and the fact that you're having trouble with that mail log and send that email through to support and they can have a look at your account and see what's causing that issue. All right, so I've just gone back to the payroll dashboard now. We'll do later today, no worries. That's great. Okay, so we're back at the payroll dashboard now. So we're going to go through to the next step in our webinar today, which is processing a pay run. So from this payroll dashboard, up in the top right-hand corner here, you'll see the option for new pay run. So if you click on that, this is now going to bring up this pop-up screen here, which is where we can enter in all the details of the pay run that we would like to process. So the first option up here is the pay schedule. So remember I said to you, if you've got more than one pay schedule in your business, you need to make sure you've selected the correct one for the actual pay run that you'd like to process. So we've only got weekly, so then the drop-down screen only shows the weekly. So we'll select that one. Now the pay period ending. So the way the system works is you put in an ending date for your pay run and the system will automatically calculate the starting date based on the actual pay schedule. So I'm going to put in a period ending date of Sunday, which was yesterday, and then the system's going to automatically calculate the start date for that, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, then the next section here is the date that the pay run is going to be paid. So again, you can select whatever date. I'm going to select Wednesday. So sorry, the 28th of March, which is next Wednesday. So that's the actual date that the pay run will be paid. So with this pay period ending, sorry, I just forgot to mention that I selected the Sunday date because back when I set up my business details, my work week was Monday to Sunday. So whatever your work week is set to, that's when you need to select your end date. So if your work week ends on a Thursday, as per your business details setup, then your pay run needs to also end on a Thursday. If you they start getting out of sync, that starts to mess up the program a bit. So my pay period ending is the 25th of March, which is the Sunday, and that's because my business details work week is set from Monday to Sunday. I'll just have a quick look at this question. Will you touch on back paying super contributions at all? So no, that's not included in today's webinar, but we do have an article that we can send through to you about back paying super contributions. So again, just pop that in a support email. So the support email is support@yourpayroll.com.au. Yeah, just pop that in an email and send it through to support and they can send you the article on back paying super. Okay, so we've entered our pay period ending and we've got the date that the pay run will be paid. Now this option down here, we're not going to use this today, but it's just a good one to know about. It's called manually add employees to this pay run. So if you've got an ad hoc pay run or an out of cycle pay run that you want to process for things like bonuses or back pay, things like that, you can select this option here, and basically what that will do is that's going to create a pay run using these dates, but it will be empty. So you can then add employees to that pay run, so the affected employees that you need to then do a back pay for or pay a bonus to. So that's quite a good option to know about that one there. All right, so we've got all our details in, so we're going to hit the create button there, and this is going to create our pay run. So the pay run that has now been created, you should be able to see that there. This is based on all the details that we entered in earlier, which you can see all down across here next to Sally's name. So what I'll do now is I'll go back up to the top here and I'll just go do a quick run through of what this all means on the pay run screen here. So we've got weekly up the top here. So that was our pay schedule weekly, the pay period. So you can see now that I selected the 25th of March, which is the Sunday, and the system's now automatically calculated that the start date was the Monday, which is the 19th. My paid date is in here, 28th of March. Now down here you've got these 3 tabs. So I'll go to the filter tab first. So this is a good option if you've got quite a large payroll. If you've got hundreds of employees in your payroll and you just need to look at a certain number of employees for a particular reason, we've got all these options here that you can filter your pay run for to bring up employees that are applicable to that. You can also filter by name, just pop a name in there and apply the filter. And then what that will do is that'll just show up any of the employees that are applicable to the particular filter that you've entered. And then you can have a look at them instead of scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of employees trying to find people. Now the warnings tab. So the warnings tab here in the pay run, so it basically is just a warnings tab. So these things don't need to be actioned, but they're just there to say there's an anomaly that we'd like you to have a look at. Can you just have a look at it, action it if you need to. If not, you can just sort of get rid of it. So this particular warning that I've got here now says the ABA details have not been provided for this business. So you'll remember, I've just clicked on that to show you a little more information there. You'll remember back when I set up Sally's banking details, I selected her as an electronic payment for her wages to go to be paid like that. Now, when I set that up, I said to you that this is going to allow Sally to actually appear in an ABA file that we can download and then upload to our business banking. So what this is telling me, though, is this is telling me that Sally is eligible to be in that ABA file, but I don't have an ABA file set up. So it says here that you'll not be able to generate the ABA file for this pay run because you don't have ABA details. Now, I don't want to actually pay Sally today, so I'm not going to go back and fix that. So you've got an option down here to fix it, but I don't want to fix it anyway because I'm not going to pay Sally. So I can just click on the X and that will get rid of the warning. So other warnings that will appear up there are things like birthdays and anniversary dates. So some employees get pay rate increases on birthdays and anniversaries. So warnings like that will appear in that tab. Warnings like zero earnings lines will appear up there. But again, you can just have a look at those warnings. You can action them if they need to be. If not, you can just ignore them. So this first tab here, so you'll see now that warnings tab is actually gone because I've looked at the warning and I've closed it off to say I don't need to action it, and so now that's gone. All right, so this actions tab here, this has now got a few other little options underneath it. So finalise your pay run. So that's the obviously when you're happy with the pay run and how it's set up and all the information in it, you can finalise it. You've also got an option over the side here to delete the pay run. So if you've gotten to this stage and you've completely messed it up and you just want to delete it and start again, that's the option you can use there. You just need to remember though, you cannot reinstate a deleted pay run. It's one of the only things in KeyPay that you pretty much can't bring back. So if you've got a large payroll that you've put a lot of effort into, yeah, don't delete it. The next option over here is the pay run actions. So you've got another few different little options under here. So you can add a message to the pay run, you can add employees to the pay run, you can adjust the pay period, import timesheet, or you can export or import the pay run. Then you've got a couple of reports here directly from the pay run that you can have a look at. And then you've got your draft pay slips. So you can actually click on that and view the pay slips as they are before you finalise the pay run, just to make sure that they look correct and they are appearing as you'd like them to. So that's the few options across the top there. Now down here where the actual employee and employment details are. So across the top here, we've got total earnings, which is the 38. We've got our gross and our taxable earnings here. Then we've got deductions. So we've got pre-tax deductions and post-tax deductions. Then you've got all your withheld amounts. So your PAYG, your SFSS and your HELP. So you can see the PAYG has been withheld here for Sally. Then you've got your super contributions in here. So you've got your SGC, which is your mandatory 9.5%. EC is your employer contributions that would appear in there if you've made any on behalf of your employee. Then you've got your, I'll just skip expenses. Then you've got employer liabilities. So that's for things like portable long service leave, things like that. And then at the end, you've got your net earnings. Now just back to the expenses. So your expenses there, that expenses in KeyPay are basically reimbursements for employees. So if they've had any out-of-pocket expenses that they need to be reimbursed for, sorry, pardon me, that's where this would appear. You just need to make sure though that if you are paying your employee manually or cash, any other way apart from electronic, the expenses are not actually included within the net earnings. Because expenses aren't theoretically an earnings, they are just a reimbursement, they're not actually included in the net earnings. If you're using an ABA file, however, the expenses are included. So you'll have, in the ABA file for the employee, you'll have an earnings line and you'll have an expenses line, so that will be included. But if you're not using an ABA file and you're paying your employee some other way, you need to make sure you include the expenses and the net earnings together. Okay, so if we come back over to the side here, and if I hover over the end of Sally's name there, you can see this tick has appeared. If I hover over that, it says mark as complete. So in payrolls where there are quite a large number of employees, the payroll clerk might need to go through and check particular details, and what they can do then after they've checked the details is tick that option there so that at a quick glance you can see which employees you've looked at and which ones you haven't. So you can mark as complete there. That's just a handy little option to know about. This pencil icon here, if you hover over that, that says edit the employee details. So what will happen there is if you click on that, that's going to take you back to the employee file. So the employee's record with all their details on it, you can go back there and make any changes. You just need to realise though that once the pay run has been created, any details that you change back on the employee's file will not be applied to this particular pay run. You will need to go back in and recalculate the employee's earnings, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, so once you've created your pay run, any changes you've made after that will not apply to the pay run. You need to recalculate the employee's earnings or exclude them from the pay run and do a recalculation that way. All right, so we're going to click on Sally's name now, and this is going to expand all of Sally's earnings. So you'll be able to see down here all the information that we entered in earlier. So you've got the earnings here, the permanent ordinary hours, so that's the pay category that we use to pay Sally. 26 March 2018, that's the location that Sally's earnings are going to be attributed to. You can enter in some notes if you like. The number of hours for this weekly pay schedule was 38. This is the rate per hour. Remember when the system did the calculation for the $60,000 per year, so that's the $30.36 rate per hour, and then you've got the gross earnings over here as well. Then you've got the leave that's been accrued. So Sally is accruing annual leave, personal leave and long service leave, and then these are the amounts that she has accrued for this particular pay run. If you click on this pencil here, you can override those accruals for whatever reason as well. And then you've got the option down here to add a note. So this will add a note to only Sally's pay slip. So up here from your actions button, from the pay run actions, if you added a note up there, that would apply to all the employees in the pay run, but this note down here will apply only to Sally. So I'll just cancel that. Pardon me. Now, if I've scrolled a little bit further down here, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you've got an actions option. So if you click on that, this brings up a whole range of other different things now that you can also do from the pay run. You can add earnings, you can add a lump sum. There's a new option now where you can calculate a gross payment from a net payment if that's how you need to set your employee up. You can add an expense, make a deduction. You can accrue or take leave here as well. You can adjust leave, PAYG or super. This is where you would recalculate. So earlier I said if you needed to make some kind of adjustment to the employee and they need to be recalculated, you could do that from here. You can import timesheets for this particular employee as well. This is where you would terminate the employee from, and you can also exclude the employee from the pay run from here as well. Okay, so we're pretty happy with all of that. So that looks all fine to me. So we're just going to go up here and click on Sally's name again to close up the earnings. And we've already ticked the markers complete up there. So once you're happy with all of that, that's when you can just finalise the pay run. So once you finalise the pay run, this is just locking in all that information for that particular date. The only time you can't, so once you have finalised the pay run, you can come back and unlock it and make adjustments if you need. The only time you can't do that is if you've made super payments from that pay run. So if you've made super payments using the Click Super clearinghouse, the one that KeyPay is integrated with, if you've made the super payments from that pay run, then you can't unlock it. But otherwise you can. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so once you've clicked the finalise pay run, this little box will pop up. Now you need to just select a few more details in here. So finalising your pay run is going to lock it and prevent it from being edited in the future. So like I said, as long as you haven't had super paid out of it, you can unlock it again. So this is our date paid. So we were going to pay our employees on the Wednesday, so that date's already in there. Now the next three options here are to do with the pay slips. So basically this is going to determine whether your employees' pay slips are published, which means that they are available to the employee to view, and whether or not your employee will get a notification about those pay slips. So our first option here is do not make the pay slips available until the Publish Pay Slips button is clicked. So publishing a pay slip means that the employee can access that pay slip. So if you don't want the employees to access the pay slip just yet, you can select that option. The next option is make the payslips available to the employees now. So this will publish the payslips and your employees will have access to them straight away as soon as you finalise this pay run. Then you've got another option as to whether you send a notification or not to tell the employees that those payslips are available. So if you want to send a notification as soon as you finalise this pay run, that will send a notification to the employee and say, your payslip's now available, you can access it from the portal and you can view it or download it. If you don't want a notification to go to the employee, you just select do not send notifications. Even if you haven't sent the employee a notification, they still will be able to access it from the employee portal because you've published the payslips. The third option there is publish the payslips at, and then you can set a time in the future that you want to do that at. So if you've run your pay run on Friday and you don't want to publish those payslips or make them available until the following Monday, you can set that up in there. So you can do a time and then a date, and then when that time and date comes, so you finalised your pay run now, and then when that time and date comes, the payslips will be published. And again, you can then also select whether or not you send a notification to the employee. So Monday morning, the payslips can be published and you can send off your notifications, or don't send a notification but still have the payslips available for them to view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my payslips available now, and I'm going to send a notification to the employee so that when I'm going to make the payslips available now, so I'm going to publish them so that when I log into the employee portal a little later, I can show you where that payslip's going to appear in there. So once I'm happy with all of that, all I need to do is click on Finalise. So this is finalising the pay run, exporting to QuickBooks and publishing the payslip. So that exporting to QuickBooks, that's exporting all the journals from this particular pay run through to your QuickBooks account. So that is now what the screen looks like after the pay run has been finalised. So you'll notice a few changes there from the Pay Run Actions button, which I'll just click on and show you. Now you've got the option to unlock. So like I said before, as long as you haven't had superannuation paid out of this particular pay run using ClickSuper, you can unlock that pay run. You'll notice now the delete pay run option has gone. That's because the pay run's locked. You've still got your reports there you can have a look at. You've got the actual payslips now, so if you need to print off those payslips, you can click on that, download them and print them off. And then you've also got the resend payslips. So if your payslips didn't go through for whatever reason or you need to send them again, you can just click on that and resend the payslips. Okay, so that is what your pay run looks like. Now if you just click on either the close down in the bottom left-hand corner here or the cross up in the top right-hand corner, this is going to take us back through the payroll dashboard. Now you'll notice the payroll dashboard now has changed a little bit. You've now got some year-to-date figures appearing up here. So you've got your year-to-date gross up here, you've got your net, your PAYG and your SGC, and you've got a bit of a different colour here in your little pie chart. Now down here also on the payroll dashboard, remember I said under the employee tab we had Sally. Now you can see over here that she was last paid on the 28th of March 2018. So that's the pay run that we've just processed. Now that's the paid date of the pay run that appears there. If you click on the pay run tab, you can see again, now this is the pay run that we just processed, and this is where your list of pay runs will start to appear. So we've got that first one there that we have done for Sally. So the 19th to the 25th, you've got your paid date in there. It was a weekly pay schedule. One employee was in that pay run. The total was 38 hours, and then you've got your net and your gross. Now also this little squiggly icon here, if you hover over that, that says journals have been exported to QuickBooks. So that's a good quick check. If you need to know whether journals have in fact been exported to QuickBooks or not, you can hover over that and it'll tell you whether it has or not. Okay, so that is that's the 4 parts of the webinar completed. So now all we've got to do is show you the employee portal. So I'm just going to set that up now. If you've got any more questions, just pop them up there in the chat bubble and I will answer those. But what I will do now is I will log out of this QuickBooks account. And then I'm going to go to the employee portal. Now, when your employees are given access to the employee portal, they need to log into quickbooks.yourpayroll.com.au/employee/login. So that's a different URL to what you would log in as to your business portal. You need to make sure they're logging into the correct one. So just bear with me for a moment while I enter in this email that I had already set up for Sally. Okay, so now you should be able to see, I'll just make sure I'm sharing that window for you. Okay, so you should now be able to see the employee's dashboard in the employee portal. So there's just a bit of an issue there with the display, but behind there says employee dashboard for Sally Watson. So once your employee logs into the employee portal, this is what they will see. So there's a few things here that we'll go through. So up in the top left-hand corner here, this is the payslip. So this is basically the payslip that Sally has just had done for that pay run that we just processed. So because I published the payslips, that's why Sally can actually see that payslip on her dashboard. If I hadn't published the payslip, then she wouldn't be able to see that. It wouldn't be available for her to view. So she can download from there, print, whatever she needs to. Then these are the leave balances. So she's got her annual leave appearing here. She can also apply for leave. So if you've set up your business portal to allow your employees to apply for leave from the business portal, she can do that from here as well. We've got a little survey that employees can put in down there as well. And now this big calendar here, this is the approved leave calendar. So basically what this is going to do is show your employees all the other employees in the business and any approved leave that they've got as well. So all these different things here though, you can configure this. So back in the business portal, you can configure any of these things to show in the employee portal or not. So if you don't want this survey to show up for your employees, you can turn that off. If you don't want them to see the approved leave calendar for all the other employees, you can turn that off. You can turn off whether or not they see their pay slips, whether or not they can view their leave or apply for leave. So back in the business portal, under your payroll settings tab, there's also an option there for employee portal settings. So that's where you would go to configure whether or not your employees can see any of this. Okay, so that is the employee portal, and that brings us to the end of the webinar today. So if you've got any questions at this point, just pop them up there in the chat bubble and I can go through and answer any of the questions that you've got. Also, just remember that we've got a YouTube channel, so just go to YouTube and type in KeyPay, all one word. You've got lots of videos and articles there that you can have a look at. You've also got previous webinars. I will upload today's webinar to our KeyPay channel, our YouTube channel as well later on. And also moving forward, if you've got any issues coming up in the next few days, weeks, months, whenever, you can also send through your queries to our support email. So the support email is support@yourpayroll.com.au. So any other questions you've got, you can just flick us through an email. Okay, so even though I've been using KeyPay since QBO came to Australia, is it still worth doing an introduction webinar, as there is always something new to learn? Thanks. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for that feedback, Carol. That's great. So, thank you everyone anyway for attending today's webinar. I hope you've got something out of it, and hope it's made it easier for you to navigate your payroll section of your QuickBooks account. So again, if you've got any other questions, just pop them up in the chat bubble there. Otherwise, I'll finish up in a couple of minutes. Okay, well, thank you all very much for attending today. So I might finish that up now. If you do have any other questions, you can pop them through to our support email. But thank you all very much for using KeyPay, and I hope today was productive for you. And yeah, everyone have a great day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.